What's up, everyone? Kevin here from Skywatcher. Welcome to another episode of the What's Up Webcast. We do this every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, right here at the Skywatcher USA YouTube channel. We cover everything from what's up in the night sky to equipment to helpful tips and tricks. And of course, at the end of the month, we have a special guest to talk about their specialty in the field of astronomy. So today we are doing our 2025 holiday gift guide. And by the way, all these episodes are live, unless we're out and about. They are pre-recorded, but they're live today. But today we're doing our gift guide. We decided to do it a little bit earlier this year because if you wait too long or if we do it too late, then the validity of this kind of falls apart because it's too late to get those things. So anyway, we thought we would do it a little bit earlier at the end of October and talk about some cool things that we've seen. But real quick, if you like what you see here, please go ahead and subscribe. Leave a like on a video. If you have an idea for an episode, email us at info@skywatchusa.com and title it What's Up, and send us your ideas for episodes. We would really appreciate that. If you want to support the channel even more, sorry, everything's kind of bounced all over the place. You can head over to skywatcher.threadless.com, pick up some cool swag. This is also good stuff for you to have as a holiday idea. If you need some little gift idea, you can head over to skywatcher.threadless.com, pick up some cool swag. If you want to support us even more, head over to skywatchusa.com. You can buy your favorite item of ours right off the website or through your favorite dealer. Go ahead. We do have some used product up right now. You can get a good deal on all kinds of stuff. I don't know if the new stuff, the stuff that we said we were going to add last week, looks like it's not up yet, unless it's sold. But anyway, you can head over there, get some good deals over there. We have our clearance page. You can get some cool stuff for sale there. And then, of course, we just have all of our usual product. But our mounts are on sale until the end of the month. So there's about another week left if you're looking to score a deal on a brand new mount. All kinds of stuff there as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. If you guys have any questions, please just throw them in the chat. It's always fun to talk to you guys. Good way to hang out. So the holidays are right around the corner. It's hard to believe that 2025 has come and gone. We're just about done with October. Next Friday is Halloween. And then we jump into November, and then all the holiday craziness ensues. So maybe you're the astronomer. Maybe there's someone in your life that's an astronomer. Maybe you're just stumbled across this video because you know somebody in your family that's an astronomer. And what the heck should I get them? I know nothing about things. Well, there's a lot of stuff on the market, clearly, for the astronomy market. And having been an amateur astronomer myself for a good chunk of my life, I know what it's like to have family members who ask, what would you like? And you could give them a list of all the things that you would like, and it's either too obscure or too expensive or whatever. But here's just some ideas, and it's kind of a spectrum going from, more general, affordable stuff up to more expensive stuff at the end, and some stuff in between. So here's just some things I would recommend if you're looking for gift ideas for the astronomer in your life or for yourself. Number one, books. I know a lot of people out there in the modern era is like, what's a book? I have my own collection. I have my own little library. It's not like a room or anything, but I have a little collection of books, as I'm sure many of us do. Some of them are old vintage books, which are just irrelevant. I have an old one that calls Andromeda the Andromeda Nebula. It's just kind of a cool nostalgic thing of what we thought we knew at the time. But then you have some of the more modern books. And one of the things in astronomy that you really need and you can't buy is patience and understanding and realizing that this is going to take an investment of time. Astronomy takes a lot of time, especially when you're doing astrophotography. And if that freaks you out, you probably picked the wrong hobby, because everything we're watching and looking up at the nighttime sky is really old. It's been traveling millions of years or thousands of years. If you can't give it like a week, you picked the wrong thing. But needless to say, books are a great thing to have on hand. And these are just some that I would recommend. These are what I recommend to any beginner. Actually, I think anybody should have these. But first off is Night Watch. Night Watch is a fantastic book. It's a very easy one to digest. It talks about the basics of the nighttime sky, talks about equipment, and it also talks about like the constellations and stuff like that. But it's a decent size book. It's not too heavy on the information. It's probably just enough to be easily digestible for someone new. This would be my first book to recommend. They might even have an updated one because the picture here is the 4th edition through 2018. I don't know if there's a newer one. Now I'm kind of curious. Night Watch 5th edition. I don't know if there is. Oh, wait. I don't know if there is a 5th edition yet. Oh, there's a revised version of this. Okay. So looks the same. Front is the same. It says the revised 4th edition updated for use through 2025. So it's the end of 2025. So maybe there'll be another revised version coming out. But anyway, there's an updated version of it, but it kind of looks the same. All right. That being said, that would be my first recommended book. And it's a really good book, especially if you're giving someone like their first telescope or they're just getting started. This is a really good thing to have on because it's just a good reference guide. If you ever need to run in there and be like, hey, I want to know about this, blah, 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 blah. A book is really nice to have. Now, advancing on that, my personal favorite and most recommended is the Backyard Astronomer's Guide. The latest edition is the 4th edition. This thing is like a crash course into astronomy. It's a heavy book. It's a good sized book. There's so much information inside of these books. It's crazy. I don't have the 4th edition. I really should get it picked up. I have the 3rd edition, but the 4th one is just updated with some more modern stuff, probably more for the modern imaging equipment and, just updated. But this book right here has so much. I actually would recommend buying this if you're thinking about getting started in astronomy and you don't know anything about it, or you maybe know a little bit, but you're not sure what to do. This book goes into everything. It has equipment. It has observing. It has photography, imaging. It really dives into it, and it breaks it all up into these digestible sections to where you can really get a grip on, hey, I am interested in astrophotography, or I'm more interested in observing, or maybe I do want a reflector. But this is a really good book to start getting the foundation of astronomy under your belt if you don't know what you're doing. And the nice thing that I like about a book is it doesn't have 27,000 opinions like a Facebook or social media group is going to give you. That's all well and good. This just gives you straight facts from two incredibly experienced people. And it can really help you do some a good starting point. And then from there, you would have all the information to go back on, and you'll have a better idea of which way you want to go. Maybe I do want a refractor for starting out. Maybe I do want to get into photography, but this is a great book to have on hand. Even if you're an advanced astronomer, it's just a good reference guide if you need it. So Night Watch and the Backyard Astronomer's Guide are probably my two personal favorite books for beginners. I kind of see Night Watch as the smaller, more digestible version, and I see Backyard Astronomer's Guide as the crash course for it. It just depends how much information you want, but if I had to pick one, actually, I'm not going to do that. They both serve a purpose. Just one of them is way more information dense. And that's the Backyard Astronomer's Guide. But it does cost more as well. So both of those books are great. I recommend these every year. Oh, did I miss something? No. Now another set that we've actually talked about in our book episode that we did a couple of years ago. At this point, we did a whole episode on books for astronomy. Are the Annals of Deep Sky. This is a 12. It's technically, from what I understand, there's a 12th volume that's about to go to print, but they haven't listed it on their store yet. So there are currently 11 volumes available of this. This book right here, the series actually, there's currently 11 of them. They break it down into constellations, and they do a super deep dive into what is in those constellations. If you are interested in deep sky, whether you're doing observing or imaging, these books can be a great reference guide to break away from the typical targets. You know, we all know the Messier objects. There's nothing wrong with them. We know the bright NGCs, but there's so many other things up there in the nighttime sky that we can go view or image or whatever, that you might need something that's going to show you new things. Like I'm so glad we all like shooting the Horsehead and Orion, M13, M15, and Andromeda. Those are all great. Those are like the classic greatest hits kind of thing. But there's so much more up there that these books are a really good way to kind of expand your horizon a bit and jump off into the deep end of deep sky observing. And I would recommend picking these up as well. But like I said, there are 11 of them, soon to be 12. So if you know someone who has the whole collection, maybe keep an eye out, because my understanding is the 12th edition's coming out soon. But maybe if you know someone who has a few of these, get them one to expand their collection. So that's kind of a cool thing to have as well, is these books. Or maybe you just want something to start off differently, get them volume 1 and 2 or something like that and start it off. So that's a good example. But there's so many cool things out there. Let's not just get stuck on the typical targets. That's why we did Target of the Month. They're just weird, off the beaten path objects. A lot of the people that I know that do serious imaging for really obscure stuff or observing use these books as references to go find those elusive targets. So jump off the deep end, go check it out. Next section are meteorites. Now, we did an episode on meteorites. We've actually had some guests on to talk about meteorites. A meteorite is the leftovers of the solar system's formation. They're incredibly interesting things. They come in a wide range, they come in a wide range of options. They can be a little pricey depending on which one you're looking at. But if you're looking for kind of a cool stocking stuffer or just something different, a meteorite could be kind of fun. You don't have to get something big and exotic, but you're literally holding a piece of the universe in your hand. So it's really kind of interesting. Now, there's a lot of different pieces of meteorite on the market and that's available. The first thing I would say, and we did a whole episode on this, is before you go buy something, make sure you're getting it from a legit source. There's a couple places on eBay that I could recommend, but ultimately I would stick with people that come recommended. Now, some of them that I would recommend that I've done business with is Aerolite Meteorites. They're out of Tucson. I'll pull them up. Who's some else? Let me see. I haven't bought a meteorite in a while. Let's see. I can't remember the other gentleman's store, unfortunately. But these are the two main ones that I like. There's Aerolite Meteorites. They have a great team there. And then there's KD Meteorites. They've got some cool stuff. So you can go over there and pick up, different meteorite samples from them. Those are both really good trusted sources to get stuff. You're not going to get ripped off or anything from them. They are a good set of people. So head over to their websites and check it out. If you're like, well, I don't know anything about meteorites, what should I actually get? Here are my recommendations for meteorites. And there's a little sprinkling of all the three major types in there, but Campo del Cielo, very common meteorite. Argentina has banned export of this, so the prices have gone up, but it's still pretty abundant. Usually you can get like a crystal for a little amount of money. Munulusta is another very cool meteorite, and a lot of these are what meteorite hunters and collectors would call stable. You want a meteorite that's not going to rust and fall apart easily. If you want to handle this, you need to make sure you're getting something that's fairly stable. It isn't just going to disintegrate. And there are a handful of meteorites out there that will just fall apart. I've had a couple of them. These guys right here, though, are pretty stable and they're impressive. They're generally easy to get a hold of because they're fairly abundant, but unique. So Campo del Cielo, big iron pieces available. Munulusta, a lot of jewelry is made out of it, fairly stable. Simchin is an iron and palisite, so some of the pieces have the iron portion in it. Some have the crystals, which look really cool. You can find both versions. Fairly stable palisite. Sokotelin, very famous from Russia. Blew up above the ground and flattened a bunch of stuff. Really unique pieces. They can be a little bit more pricey because they're just very odd looking meteorite fragments, but they're really cool. Chelyabinsk, that big famous one from Russia in 2013. That one's cool because it's relatively relevant. And Saracho is a palisite that's fairly new in discovery. I think it's somewhere in Africa is where they found that one. But it's pretty abundant, fairly stable. Doesn't have the most transparent crystals compared to like Simchin or even Fukang. Fukang meteorite is probably the creme de la creme of palasites with huge crystals, but it is not cheap to get even a small piece of it. So and then you have other ones like Imalac, which are also expensive. So, but those are some good pieces to start with. There's obviously hundreds of pieces out there, or thousands of different types that you could get, but these are relatively easy to find, not incredibly costly, and stable. So if you're looking to start a meteorite collection or just do something unique, these are probably 6 that I would recommend there. Let's see, comment. I use the Deep Sky Wonders book for looking for stuff off the beaten path. I will have to check that one out. I don't think I've spent much time looking at it. Okay, so moving on, of course, accessories. Many of us love to accessorize our equipment. There's so many different things. Oh, crap. I forgot one in here. I completely forgot. They just started shipping it, so that's why I forgot about it. But excuse me. I'll bring this in a little bit. So accessories. Now, one-shot color cameras are very popular right now. They're getting really good out there, and a lot of people have moved from monochrome imaging to one-shot color because of the availability of better sensors. And of course, a lot of options that are supporting filters for one-shot color cameras. Now, my personal favorite all-around go-to filter for one-shot color imaging, especially if you're shooting from like a light-polluted location, is the Antlia Tri-Band RGB. This filter works really well. It has sections of its bandpass that allow all the pixels to be utilized, the blue, the green, and the red. So it allows everything to work, but it is very selective of what it allows to pass to the camera sensor. So if you know someone who is shooting a one-shot color, this is like it's not quite narrow band, but it's a lot more selective than like some of the broad band filters that are out there. So very nice filter. It's not too pricey. It can work on fast optics, like if you're using an HAC 125 or a RASA, or I've used this on my Origin. Works really good for that, as well as anything else. Works great on our refractors, anything. It's just a good all-around filter. So I would check that out. It's a good little stocking stuffer because it's not too big. It's not too small. They come in these really little cases. So one of these tri-band filters are really good. They do have the quad band out as well. I haven't used it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And the tri-band works quite well. So very good filter to have on hand. Cameras. These are like all the rage right now, right? As everyone's doing astrophotography, and there's a lot of good options on the market. The cameras that I would currently recommend have the following 4 sensors. There's the 585 sensor. This is kind of the new budget-friendly sensor that's on the market. I believe it comes in monochrome. I know it comes in color because I've got one sitting here for testing. But they're not too expensive. They're very sensitive. It doesn't have amp glow. The pixel sizes work really good for these short things. But yeah, like the 585, great camera. If you want some more real estate, you have the 533. If you want something bigger than that, 571. And then the full frame variants, the 455. The 533, the 571, and the 455 all have the same pixel size. I think it's 3.76 microns. So it's just under 4 microns. So they're really flexible pixel sizes that can be used for a wide range of imaging and focal lengths, especially up to like that 1200 millimeter focal length. These work really well for those. And the 533 is unique because it's a square sensor, but then the bigger ones, the 571, that's an APS-C format. And then 455 is full frame, 36 by 24 millimeters. It's a big, serious camera right there. But you basically just pick the real estate. There's also the new, I think it's a 676 that I have for testing on an HAC. Is that what's in here? Yeah, 676. The 676, where is that camera anyway? First world problems. A 676 is a new little camera that's on the market. It's a very tiny little square sensor. It's kind of a fun little thing to work with. It also works really well. Very tiny pixels, but it's a tiny little sensor as well. So something to take a look at. But there's a wide range of camera options nowadays. There's multiple manufacturers. Just kind of pick which one you want. The nice thing is it's never been better to get into astrophotography because there's so many options in camera sensors, and they've all gotten more affordable. And the quality is really good. Let's see. Question. Any recommendations for focuser upgrade for an EvoStar 120? GSO focuser from Agena is not that good. The only focuser that really comes, they're assuming this is a manual focuser. There's not a lot of companies that are making third-party focusers anymore. It used to be Moonlight and Feather Touch. Those were the two dominant high-level focusers. Both are still around, but Moonlight is only making motorized focusers now. If you want that, great. Go get them. They made some really nice manual focusers a few years ago, but they stopped a few years ago. I think right around COVID is when they made the shift to just motorized focusers. So that's unfortunate. Honestly, Feather Touch. Feather Touch is, in my opinion, the best focuser on the market for just general all-around use. You can motorize them for imaging. They're super smooth. They have beautiful movements on the dual speed side, and they come in a range of sizes. I have had a couple EvoStars that have had Feather Touches on them. They make adapters for them. It's not going to be cheap, but it's the best focuser you can probably put on there So yeah, Feather Touch would be my recommendation for that. Um, but yeah, you're talking $300, $400, $500 for a focuser like that. And it also depends on what size of focuser you want. You're probably talking $300 to $500 for the 2-inch focuser. But if you want to go bigger, I had a 120 that had a 3-inch Feather Touch on it. That was like $700 or $800 focuser. Really nice because it could rotate and everything. But yeah, they're not cheap. I store my EvoStar 120 in a vertical position. Will it affect collimation over time? It shouldn't. You should be perfectly fine. I don't think you'll hurt it at all. Any recommendations for saddle upgrades for the AZ GTE? That's a good little holiday tidbit. Hold on just a sec. The answer is yes. AZGTI would help if I could spell saddle. Yes. There is a saddle upgrade for the AZ GTE. It's also the same saddle upgrade for the Solar Quest. So ADM Accessories, Anthony, who owns that, Anthony is a great guy. If you ever go to NEAF, he has a booth there. He's generally floating around. He makes some awesome products, and he's really good at offering like upgrade options for off-the-shelf mounts. So this is on their website. Just go over to admaccessories.com. They have a bunch of stuff. You may have to search it a little bit, but here it is. So this is the upgrade kit for... Okay, this is the dual version that does D and V plates. This is what I see most customers going with. I don't have one on mine. Maybe I should get one. Anyway, they're like $85, $84. Here we go. $84. And it comes with the little upgrade mounting puck. You need this little plate to adapt it. And then they have a DV saddle that goes onto it. Easy upgrade. That'll work on your AZ GTE, works on the AZ GTI, works on the Solar Quest. And then they do have options for other mounts as well if you want to head on over there. And they have a lot of options for Skywatcher mounts, Celestron mounts. Go over there and check them out. But yeah, ADM Accessories is who you want to do that. Question: what guide scope works best for 1800 millimeter Maxitoff for DSOs when using a focus reducer? When you're shooting that long, particularly on a Cassegrain, see, I don't remember how to do the factoring of the focal length of the guider. But a lot of people that I know who are using Cassegrains are using an OAG because you start to get flexure, which can cause guiding issues. You could probably get away with maybe something in the 600 millimeter focal length. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall at this point. Some of you watching might actually know the formula that kind of calculates how long the focal length of a guide scope should be. But generally, when you're using a Cassegrain, an OAG is the way to go because there's a lot of stuff going on at that focal length. So, yeah, sorry, I don't have a better option for that. So, although I have seen a lot of people do some good stuff with our Evo Guide 50, even on long focal length stuff. So I think now because some of the guide cameras are so high res with little tiny pixels, you can get away with it a little bit more. But again, flexure starts to become an issue when you've got like a little scope that's not super solid mounted to your main scope and you're shooting at long focal length. So probably an Evo Guide 50, maybe something a little bit longer. Ideally, you're looking at an OAG or one of the cameras that has like the built-in guide camera on it. So, next question. Any release date for the new doublet Athera? No, I don't have a release date for when we're going to have them here in the States and North America. There's a lot going on with that right now. We're trying to discuss that at the moment on how we're strategically going to work with that. Our new Esprit EDX samples are here. We're just taking all the information and getting pictures and getting them ready for market. We have samples of the Ethera. They're really nice scopes, but we need to kind of strategically figure all that out. Have you tried the Acuter 40mm solar scope? I have heard it is made by Cinta. Will we see a Skywatcher branded version? So Acuter is another brand. I don't work with their stuff. I've never had my hands on the Acuter 40mm. I've never even seen one in person. So I don't know a lot about it. And we don't sell any of the Acuter stuff. So no, I don't think we'll ever see it here. I'd love to see a Heliostar 40 or 50 or something smaller than the 76. I'd really like to see something smaller in the Heliostar line that's really clean and well engineered and executed like the 76 is. Obviously, our next one is the 100, which is coming very soon. And we'll do a whole episode when we actually can talk more about it. You saw a prototype at NEAF this past year. We did tell you guys we would have it there. Some people even got to use it. But we're getting close to the production versions coming available. So the next Heliostar will be the 100. I'd love to see something smaller than 76 in the future, but I don't have anything solid to say on that. And as far as the 40, the Phoenix, I think is its name, we don't sell Acuter stuff, so I don't have any information on it, unfortunately. I'd love to try one, but I don't have one. So. Next up, eyepieces. Now, eyepieces are a great accessory for anybody. Now, I was always taught to get good eyepieces up front. And that can be a little bit of an investment, and it takes time when you're getting really good eyepieces. They're expensive, especially when you're talking about the high level stuff. So if you're a beginner, or let's say you're getting a telescope, or you have a telescope and you want to start expanding your options, I would really look at whatever focal length of eyepiece that your person you're shopping for likes to use, and maybe think about upgrading whatever that focal length is. Here's some 30s are really popular, 20 to 25 millimeter, 13 to 17, somewhere in there are my most used, and a lot of people generally fall into that category. But getting somebody something really well built is something that they could use for years to come. And some of the big names are Teleview, Pentax, Explore Scientific, and even Nikon are all the top players. Explore Scientific has an insane sale right now going on for their eyepieces, like crazy discounts on it. Not sure what they're doing with it, but right now you could score an Explore Scientific for a pretty good price right now. To me, Teleview is the top. And then you have Pentax and Nikon. Pentax has really good eyepieces, but they don't have the range that Teleview covers. Nikon has a small collection of eyepieces that are phenomenal, but they're relatively hard to find. I think Agena Astro is one of the few here in the US that even sells Nikon eyepieces. But again, Teleview has the widest range of eyepieces. But I was always told, just get a good set of eyepieces, and as your scopes come and go, the eyepieces generally stay. So that's how I was taught. That's what I try to tell people as well. So nice eyepieces. Maybe you know someone who's been eyeballing something and it's just like, it's a lot. I don't know if I can go into it. Maybe get them a cool eyepiece. I did forget to add this. Let me see if I can pull this out. There we go. The Teleview they just started shipping their new 24 millimeter Delos, which I got to see at NEAF. It's a really nice eyepiece. That could be something as well. So check one of those out. The new 24 Delos is a cool design. Really comfortable eye relief, 72-degree field of view. So if you want to get something that's brand new to the market, yeah, check that out. What is it? Question: would the blanket scope be a pretty good gift if it was in production? Yeah, it would be awesome, and I'm sad that I can't tell you guys about it because it's a really cool design, but it's not gonna happen. So it will stay here in the collection and be used kind of privately off to the side, and that's it. So we have some really cool stuff in the works though that I found out about recently. So we're always working on something cool, but there's some really neat stuff in the pipeline. When it'll be a reality is a different story, but Skywatcher never stops innovating. So our engineers are awesome. Not everything works, not everything becomes a real product, but the ideas they're playing with right now are really cool. So I commend our whole team for doing that. Have you played around with the Takahashi eyepieces? If so, were you impressed with them? I haven't spent much time with a Takahashi eyepiece. I'm a big fan of Teleview. I'm friends with Teleview. They're great people over there. I always like the really wide angle stuff, especially on like Dobbs. I'm a big Dobb observer, so I like the really wide 100-degree stuff. And Takahashi just hasn't had the eyepieces that I need. But I have friends who have Takahashi eyepieces, and they love them. I've heard nothing but good things about them. I'm sure they're excellent because Takahashi's quality is excellent. But I think I've owned one Takahashi eyepiece. It was an ortho. Really nice, well built. Just, I prefer the big wide angle stuff. So, okay, I got all the questions caught up. Telescopes and mounts and all that fun stuff that we like to talk to. Binoculars. I will be the first one to admit that I overlook binoculars all the time. And I have a couple sets laying around. They've just kind of accumulated over the years. I don't even know where they come from half the time. I have cheap sets that I hand out during like outreach events. But there's the cheap ones that are good and they get the job done. And then there's nice binoculars, just like telescopes. A good set of binoculars is a great thing to have in the car. It's a great thing to have at home. You can go out and look in the backyard really quick. You can use it for birding or hiking or whatever you want. A good set of binoculars is really hard to beat. For astronomy, you probably want something between that 40 and 50 millimeter aperture. I don't know that I would go with too much magnification. I kind of like 7 to 8 times, but you can get up to 10 or 12. The more magnification, the heavier they get, the harder it is to hold them stable, and you can shake and it kind of ruins the view. So I tend to favor kind of that 10 to 50 ballpark in there somewhere. 8x42 is a nice size if you don't want to get too crazy. There's a comment. Image stabilized binoculars are really nice. The Canon 42 LIS binoculars are some of my favorites, but they are not cheap. You can get some of the bigger ones, but they get really cumbersome and hard to hold, and you might need a tripod to do it. If that works for you, great. For me, binoculars are more about ease of use. And obviously, you can get a wide range of quality binoculars out there. And there's some, Celestron has some really good binoculars. I don't pay attention to all the sport optics that they offer out there, but they have some good stuff. I believe the best ones they have right now, which I have pictured, are their Trail Seeker EDs. I believe this is their top of the line optic at the moment for binoculars. Of course, then you get to some of the dedicated companies. You get like Nikon. Canon's got some good stuff. I think Nikon's top of the... I haven't looked at Nikon binoculars in years, but when I was looking at them, I think the Monarchs were really high end. And then you get to like the really exclusive stuff. You get to Zeiss, make some really good stuff. And then I would probably say the best of the best, the most impressive optics I have ever used in binoculars are the Swarovski binoculars. And they are so sharp. They are so clean. It's amazing how nice these binoculars are, but man, are they expensive. I've heard the Pures are really excellent. And I would love a pair of these. I can't justify the price to have one of these things. But when I have been able to use, here we go, the Pures. When I have had my hands on these things, the images are so bright and so clean. It's super impressive. And these are binoculars that would last for years. Like, these are what you hand down. These are heirloom level optics. But you can see they are ridiculously expensive, at least for me. I have a hard time spending that kind of money on binoculars. Now, if you're into birding and doing stuff, these are like the pinnacle of it. But anyway, a good set of binoculars is nice to have around. You don't need to go crazy on them. But it just depends on your interest. I have friends who love binoculars and they have these binoculars. More power to you. It's just never been my big cup of tea. Just put two Esprits together. Yeah, that we've had that idea before. Suggested Nikon Echelon A21s are affordable and fantastic. Super highly. Okay, I'll have to check those out. Like I said, I don't spend a lot of time looking at binoculars. I have a basic pair laying around that are pretty nice. I think I have a little 33 granite ED that Celestron used to sell. Those are cute little things. But I don't have like a legacy level set of binoculars. I just don't use them enough. But binoculars, a good set of binoculars are never bad to have. Someone in the chat had mentioned, what about Botter eyepieces? Botter eyepieces are really good. I should have put them in there as well. They have a nice range of them. I haven't used the newer ones, but I've used the Hyperions. The Hyperion eyepieces were kind of a really nice staple of eyepieces for years. The one thing I don't like about Hyperions is they fall apart when you put them on faster telescopes. So they're great for like Schmidt-Cassegrains and refractors that are probably like f7 or longer. A lot of the telescopes that I use, like my Big Daub, that's f3.3, it chews those things apart. And there's nothing wrong with the eyepiece. It's just, it's not designed to handle these modern fast optics like an Ethos or the 100 degrees are. So, but Botter makes some really nice stuff. And then if you're looking for like budget eyepieces, the Celestron XL LX eyepieces are my favorite budget-friendly recommended eyepiece. So check those out as well. Smart scopes. These are everywhere. And there's a wide range of them as well. I haven't had my hands on every one of them. Like I've never played with a Vaonis before, but I have a C-Star and it's adorable. And the 30 is my personal favorite because it's so small and convenient and adorable. A C-Star is like the gateway telescope for getting people started in astronomy now. I've seen dozens of people just buy one of these right off Amazon or wherever while we're at an event. They're just like, what's a good telescope to start with? It's like, oh, the C-Stars are kind of fun actually. And they look it up and they're like, wow, that's cool. Buy. They just kind of sell themselves. So the C-Stars are really nice. There's a bunch of other ones like the Dwarf. I haven't used the Dwarf yet. And then there's Celestron with the Origin. I've actually been using the Origin more recently. There's some things about it that I tend to like about it. I find the Origin tends to be a little faster in its setup than the C-Star. It doesn't have to go through as many calibrations as a C-Star does. There's some times where my C-Stars take 10 minutes to get, leveled and do their thing. The Origin's just quick. And now they've unveiled the Origin Mark II, which has the new 678 sensor in there, which is supposed to be a little cleaner and have some little better resolution. So the Origin is very impressive for what it is. I like that you can put filters in it, but it's expensive in comparison. But you know, if you have someone who's brand new to astronomy, doesn't know what they're doing, sea stars are pretty awesome. Smart Eye. This is brand new this year. Next week on Halloween, we're actually going to have our buddy Richard Wright back on. Richard helped develop the Smart Eye. But this thing is the closest you can get to adapting almost any telescope to a smart scope. If you're into like EAA, electronic assisted astronomy, this thing is so convenient because you don't have to lug out a screen and you don't have to plug all this crap in and it's like this takes all of that and puts it into one system. And I find it's really good up to about 1200 millimeter focal length. You can do longer, but I like it up to about 1200 millimeter. That 400 to 1200 is a good sweet spot for it. It's a really neat device. I don't use it all the time, but it's really good and it's really impressive, particularly for galaxies and light polluted locations. There's a lot you can get around because you're relying on that camera, and the little screen is built into it, so I don't have to lug all this junk around anymore. But the Smart Eye is a really cool device. They've been shipping for a few months now. I've seen them pop up. They're not cheap, but they're really kind of a cool tool, especially if you're doing outreach. Suggestion: on a more affordable side, the Nikon Monarch M7 HP have a field flattener and adjustable eyepieces. I should have gotten them over the M5 842s, which are great, but those are greater. I will have to check those out. I've kind of been looking at a nice set of binoculars, but thanks for the suggestion on that, the M7s. I like that they're flat. That's cool too. So anyway, Smart Eye is a cool device as well. If you want to know more about a Smart Eye, you're going to want to watch next week's episode when we have Richard on. He'll give you the deep dive of all of it, more than I could. Now we're going to tout some of our stuff because it's our webcast. The Virtuoso GTIs. These are kind of the closest you can get from Skywatcher for a smart scope right now. And the reason we say that is I understand it's not a smart scope. Like, you don't just do all this stuff and it does it for you. But if you still want to have some kind of visual experience and you still kind of want to be linked into it and not just have the scope do everything for you, the Virtuoso GTIs are as close as you could possibly get. It's got Wi-Fi built into it so you can control it with your app. It's got go-to, it tracks, but it's still a visual experience. You are still linked in with it. You're still under the night sky. We offer them in two sizes. We have the 5 and the 6, the 130 and the 150. Full go-to. They have a little mounting puck on the bottom for tripods if you want to raise it up. These are real Newtonians. They have parabolic mirrors. They're fully collimatable on the secondary and the primary. So it's just like a big Dob. But you can see the rings of Saturn, the moons of Jupiter. The moon looks phenomenal. You can even do deep sky on some of the brighter targets, and the price on them is actually really kind of impressive. I'm still kind of blown away we're able to sell them for what we can, but those are really good, very popular ones. If you don't want the go-to and you want something a little bit more simplistic, we have the heritage models in both 130 and 150. So those are some options there as well. So good options, especially for beginners. If you want to do nightscape photography, we've got 2 comets up right now. A star tracker is a really good foundation for that. We have our Star Adventure 2i Pro Pack, 11-pound payload capacity. It comes with everything that you're going to need except a ball head and a tripod. Any major photo tripod will work. Our Star Adventure tripod that we sell is a really good option. It's not that expensive. There's a lot of eclipses that are coming up around the world over the next few years. You have Spain, you have Egypt, you have Australia. The nice thing about the Star Adventures is they're also small enough and they can hold enough weight to handle all of that. So, but yet they're still easy to transport anywhere in the world. I've got one in my camera bag in one of the lens slots. I keep the tracker head in there. We also have our wave mounts. We have the 100 and the 150. Just depends on how much weight and what features that you want, but these are shipping. They're even on sale right now. You can get that. We have accessories for them. We have the steel tripods. There's a lot of really good options out there for them on the strain wave side of things. So those are available as well. So go check those out. You can get them on sale for at least till the end of this month, but it's a good time to jump on it. New for this year is the Honder's advanced camera, the HAC 125DX. This is our little 5-inch f2. It's a high-speed telescope, f2 optics. It's lightweight. If you need some tiny little astrograph for imaging, this works really good. Star Arizona has all these cool supporting accessories for it. They do have the new 2-inch filter holder. So if you want to use filters, for imaging that you might have laying around, go check those out. They have the longer dew shield, which helps with flat panels, and so the camera's not sticking out. Then they have the motor focuser bracket, so there's options out there. So go on and check that out. Of course, we also have our EQ AL55i, nice little go-to mount for beginners. It's fairly lightweight, holds 22 pounds. It does have a built-in USB, so you can plug right into it, like with an ASI Air or something like that. You have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in. It's generally a good little mount for getting started and for lightweight imaging. And then, of course, you have our Heliostar 76, our H alpha. These are usually about 0.5 angstroms, although I've seen them actually get measured even lower. These are completely ready to go. They don't need power. You just throw them on there. All the stuff you need is in there except a mount, and we do sell it with a mount if you want, but you can pop it on any small mount, and you're good to go. They're just ready to rock and roll. So those are great options as well. I understand they are getting a little pricey, but it's it's a 76 millimeter dedicated H alpha. So question, what was your favorite astro gift you ever received, not counting gifts you bought for yourself? Well, that would probably be the telescope my mom got me for my 9th birthday, which was my first telescope. That was the thing that started it all. And I think I even have it laying around here somewhere. But little 50 millimeter refractor from the Discovery Channel store. Nothing special, but that was probably the most influential astro gift I've ever gotten. The one that literally jump started this whole craziness. So, question for the Virtuoso: will there ever be an equatorial firmware for it? I don't know. I actually don't know. I'd have to ask the engineers, but we don't have a wedge big enough to hold it. You'd have to get fancy with it. I'm sure there's one in there somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised, but I will have to ask. But not to my knowledge at the moment. All right, guys, that's pretty much everything for this week. Those are just some ideas for the gift guide this year. Obviously, there's so many things on the market, and all of us are different. We all have different goals on what we're trying to accomplish with our hobby and where we are at the hobby. So, and above all, just going out and having a cool experience, maybe going to an observatory, maybe getting an Airbnb in a dark sky site. Those are all cool options as well. And sometimes just having the experience of going somewhere and just using what you have is more important than just buying more stuff. Yeah, that's kind of where it's all at this point. So if you like what you see here, please go ahead and subscribe, leave a like on the video. Lets us know we're doing a good job. You can always head over to skywatcher.threadless.com and pick up, cool swag to support us even more. Definitely appreciate all the support from you guys. Here it is. Skywatcher.threadless.com, or you can head over to our website or your favorite dealer and pick up some cool Skywatcher hardware. But anyway, those are just some ideas for the holidays. Next week, if you wanted to know more about Smart Eye, Richard Wright will be on. Richard is one of the programmers and brains behind Smart Eye, so he would be able to answer all your in-depth questions about it. I've been a beta tester for it for probably a year or so at this point. So I can only tell you from my experience. I've tried to be upfront about that, but Richard, being a part of the development team, will be able to tell you way more. So if you've been interested in one, go on over and join us next week right here, 10 a.m. Pacific, and should be a good time. But that's pretty much it for this week's episode. One more question. For the HAC, I'm using it at 533. When imaging at 300 seconds, the image gets blown out. Is that normal? Yes, that is normal. You're shooting at f2. 5 minutes at f2 is a lot of data. That's a lot of signal going in there. I've shot 5 minutes on Hyperstar, which is also about f2, but it's with narrowband filters. You would have to be in like super dark sky. So if you're blowing it out, you're going to have to reduce the exposure time at that point. So play around with it. I usually find 30 seconds to 60 seconds is enough. But it really just depends on where you're at and what filters you're using and all that. But a 533 is a very sensitive camera, and you put that on an f2 system with 5 minute subs. That's a lot. So yeah, just dial it down and find out where it's happy. So, but, all right, guys, that's pretty much it. If you have any other questions, you can email us at support@skywatchusa.com. We'll see you guys next week for Richard being on here talking about Smart Eye. And other than that, I hope you have a great weekend. I think this is actually New Moon weekend. So if you want to get out and do some dark sky observing, this is the weekend for it. So thanks again, everyone. We will see you guys next week. Do appreciate your support. It's always fun hanging out. Clear skies to you all and enjoy it. We'll talk to you guys next week. See ya. Bye.